Okay, so let's get to the meat of things here. Let's talk about getting new members. So the who are they? How do we do it? When do we do it? And so this is where your invaluable experience will come in. But first, let me share just a little bit of background information for you that I think hopefully you're mostly familiar with, but maybe not. Oh, and so, as a membership person, we're always looking at numbers. At least I am comparing, and, we don't want to think about our members as a number, but yet the bottom line is we're concerned about the number of members. So if you were at state convention, I handed out certificates kind of commending branches who had gained members from pre-COVID, pre-pandemic. But I hadn't looked at it from just the last year. And doing it this way was really interesting because one thing popped out at me. I mean, first of all, our branches are doing great and we're definitely in recovery mode. I mean, look at how many branches have recruited at least 1 to 4 members or 5 to 9, quite a few. We're not going to worry about lost members now, but one branch really jumped out. They recruited just in the last year over 20 members, which that's happened in the past with other branches, but I just thought that was amazing. And so hopefully they'll share some of their good news because that branch is represented here today. I'm not going to spot them out anymore, but they're doing some amazing things. And I think that, like all our branches are, but I'm sure that there's much that we can learn. So that's kind of what's fueling some of this today. So who do we want to recruit? Well, of course, we're thinking today very much about diversity in our membership. And for most of our branches here, diversity comes with age differences. So there are target audiences. Most of our branches are really interested, and I've talked to many and they've told me this, they're really interested in trying to get the younger age working woman as a member, but finding it very difficult. The other great area for recruiting, of course, is just retired, the retirement age recruitment. But if you can look here at the listings of what they're looking for in an organization, the younger person who is currently working is very interested in career advancement. She wants to have networking opportunities, and she wants to develop her leadership skills. Those are key aspects to a group that would encourage her to join. Whereas the retirement age person is very focused, very interested on the mission, very motivated by that, wants to do advocacy work like STEM programs and things like that. Interest groups are really good and often are the thing that bring a member in at that point. And they want to spend time with like-minded people. So I have to say, AAUW mission and advocacy work, I think, could be slipped under the younger age recruitment as well. Because I know young members who are currently working that are really motivated by the mission, and that's what's brought them in. And other young members who are really motivated by the advocacy work and want to work with, especially, with the career that they're in, they want to promote that career, particularly in the STEM areas. So I think those two work both ways, but for younger people, interest groups, well, they don't have time. Like-minded people, that's nice, but they want to have those like-minded people who are also focused on a career. So keep those things in mind as we talk about some of this, because I think that's where the challenge is. That's what we're working for. So types of members, if you look at national, they don't have one of these, but I'm including it. So a national member is what we used to call a member at large, but now it's the national member. It's the first thing when you renew your membership or sign up, you immediately become a national member. Then you have the option of joining the state and the branch. So all of us here today, of course, and all the members in your branch are national and branch members. There's college and university members. I think we have 12, I heard on Saturday. that we have 12 college university groups. And with that come a couple of free memberships for people in the university. We have student memberships, and they join a couple of different ways. They can be part of an affiliate, or they simply can join on their own. And then I threw in, this is the extra one, dual memberships, because a number of our members are now joining a couple of different branches that are nearby, or that they're really interested in learning more about the branch. And you can join as many branches as you want. And the only thing you do is just pay the additional branch membership dues. It's very simple. And then there is lifetime membership, and that comes in two different versions. One of them you buy, which you buy the equivalent of 20 years of national dues. So that's like 72 right now, 72 national dues times 20, and it comes to $1,440. And that is completely tax deductible, which is a nice little perk. And then, so if you don't buy it, then if you're a member for 50 years, then you get it for free. And then you don't pay any dues to state or branch. So those are all the kinds of members that we have.
Question.
So that was the who. Any comments on who?
I do have a question. If we could go back to that screen.
Sure.
When you, state is not included in that.
No, I didn't put it in there.
Okay. But when you join national, you also join state. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, you don't. I'm a little fuzzy on that, Jan, so I probably shouldn't say anything definitive, but I think that that's the case. I think you do join state, and that way you become a member at large, and that way the branch membership or people across the state are aware of those people, and they can attempt to recruit them into the branch. Yeah, Maggie, please.
Carol, about the dual membership, and I don't want to confuse the issue here, but were you able to find out any information about if somebody wants to also be a dual member in another state because they're snowbirds or something?
Yeah, yes. I'm glad you brought that up. No, I have not. I think that's going to have to be an office hours, and I'll have to do that. Maybe I'll do that on Thursday. So yeah, I'll look into that.
For the people here, they could get in touch with you at a later date to find out if they have a question in their branch. Is that?
Yes. Yeah. I'll get, you know what? I usually send out a follow-up email after we're done with these. And that will be one of the things that I will definitely include. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Because we've had some questions about that.
Yeah. And, as we go along, if there's anything else that anyone would like me to include as a follow-up, let me know, put it in chat, or just simply, ask me right here and now.
Carol, could we make it a thing that if somebody is a dual member in some place really cool, like, Tampa, Florida, that we're all invited down there or something?
Oh, I think so. I think that's me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Just want to clarify. Okay.
Yeah.
Must be January, February, or March.
Right. We'll rent a bus and shuttle down there. Okay. Any other questions about the who thing? Because I know there have been questions, especially the dual membership and the multi-state thing has definitely raised some question marks. All right, so this is where we are really gonna, I think, have some good discussion. So how do we do it? Well, you do have some tools at your fingertips. And one of those, the big one, is Shape the Future. You get any new member gets a 50% discount on national dues. So they pay $36 for their first year, plus state 13, plus branch, whatever that is. But they have to use a coupon code. This is the code for this year. So make a note of that. Keep that in mind. And it doesn't have to be just the treasurer doing that now. You can give that code to a new person if they want to join online. They can use this code themselves. The other nice thing about this is when you recruit two members, your branch gets, I say two, it's supposed to be one. That would be great. For every 2 members you recruit, your branch gets 1 free national membership, up to 3. So if you recruit 2 members, you have 1 free. If you recruit 4 members, you get 2 free. If you recruit 6 members, you get 3 free. If you recruit 10 members, you get 3 free. So it's limited at 3, but you can use them as you wish. So some branches use this as a tool, a recruitment tool, and reward people who have brought in new members, or sometimes they use it to help a member who's struggling financially. So there are multiple ways to use this, and maybe some of you have some interesting ideas on how you're doing that. So I'd love to hear that.
Is the code actually Shape the Future FY24?
Just like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, capital letters, the whole thing. Yeah, they changed it, of course, from last year. So this year, that's how it looks.
Carol?
Carol?
Our treasurer finance VP has not been successful in cashing in on, we've probably had 12 members since the Shape the Future's been going, and we cannot get anyone to provide us with how to use this, and we have not been able to use it.
Okay.
But we get the Shape the Future discount. We can't get the free ones.
Okay. You know what and I know that there's a special form that the treasurer has to fill out, and the treasurer has to send in the checks from the individuals with their state and branch dues. So I don't know if your treasurer is aware of the form, but I'll get it and send it to you, Carol.
Okay.
And give it a try. And if that doesn't work, then we'll just have to go to office hours.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been trying for, I bet, 2-3 years.
Yeah, that's not good. Yes, and those actually, if your branch has not used it by September, it's in September. It has to be used by September. So if you haven't used them, then you lose them.
Okay, so we've lost everything in the past then.
Yeah.
And I know when the National sends out the list of who's used them, I know we're not even listed as having used the Shape the Future on that list that they send out.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's frustrating. All right. Any other Shape the Future? Because it's a good one. And then, of course, there are a few other things that can work to your advantage, some other discounts and perks. I'm not going to click on this link because it just gets a little convoluted when you're in Zoom, but I pointed it out on that national membership page at the beginning, down at the bottom on that right-hand side. If you click there, there's a long list of discounts and perks, including pet insurance. There's long-term care insurance, and these are all like discounts. The one that I use the most is Office Depot.
Yes.
And you get a little discount there for printing and supplies and things. That one works, and I love that. Other ones are, travel, Hertz Rent-A-Car, other kinds of things. So, there may be something there that works for you. And hopefully you noticed when you were renewing or not, the Ms. Magazine is offering a free year to AAUW members. So you get 4 free issues. So of course, the hope is that you'll continue. And I have to say, I've gotten a couple of them now. They're very interesting. And I had forgotten about Ms. Magazine. I didn't even know they were still publishing. So they're out there and they're, doing good work. So that is another thing you can promote. And then I think this is a perk, definitely, is your branch special interest groups. So that's something that, you can decide. But like I said earlier, interest groups are what bring people in to the organization. At least we've had that experience in the branch I'm active in. So you want to get your team involved. You are not alone. You need to have more people working with you. You can't do it by yourself. And of course, your members are on your team, every single one. So it's important that you get them involved and make sure they understand that they are recruiting just like you are. You're the head of the crowd, but they're behind you all the way. So I say whole system, but actually it's a whole branch activity, and everything is on the table for successful recruiting. So let's see what everything looks like. So is your branch ready to recruit? Is your board at the table? Are your members at the table? Is your atmosphere conducive? Are your programs working for you? Do you have interest groups that are of interest to your members? And is your communication into the community and within your branch, is it strong and getting the word out? So I would like to open this up to discussion now. And I thought maybe, and we're a smaller enough group, I'm not going to break us up into breakout rooms. I think we're small enough that we can just all share the information in a group. So I'm going to stop sharing the program here, and maybe we can talk a little bit. Let me see where we're at here. Okay, and just one more thing, and I know you're on board with this, but as we talk, this is adapted from the Wisconsin Board Community Agreements. So I statements, please stay on the topic, active listening, one person at a time, and chat for items for the good of the group, like Maggie put her address into the chat. So if we could keep that in mind, I know that's not going to be a problem, but just a reminder. And let's go through it like methodically if we can, especially, well, let's just start with the board, because I think that's a little bit of a standalone. And then the rest of it, I know is just going to meld together. Your members, your atmosphere, your programs. But let's see what kinds of things are going on in your branches that you're finding helpful for recruitment. So let's just, like I said, let's start with the board. Any thoughts on how your branch can be conducive to recruiting new members? Otherwise, I have some ideas. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. How many of you have a budget line from your board that you have money to use for membership in any way that you see fit? That might be something that would be worth asking.
We do.
Carol, you do?
I think we do. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it's kind of partially under branch operations. And we have a fair amount set aside for branch operations.
Yeah, I think we just lump it into that.
Okay.
Ours is actually under membership.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so then you are, I'm having a little bit of money to work with, I think is advantageous. And I know at the state board, we have some money for membership. I have not used it, and I'm really kicking myself now because I have some ideas. So, don't be afraid to ask for money if you think you need it. In the branch that I'm active in the membership person has purchased some software packages that she uses to spread information around and send out invitations and do things like that. And also to buy materials, putting together a new members packet with information in it, and using it to print. We have a trifold. So she uses that to print an updated trifold whenever we need it. So there, ask the board for money to do things like that if you are so inclined. Carol?
I know we have budgeted money to print the trifold brochure. So I know that somewhere in that budget, there's money for membership.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes under just general, because we consider that as something that we should have always.
Okay, good. And another thing with the board, I'm sure you have a supportive board that gives you time on the program at your membership meetings to talk about membership, maybe recruitment or celebrations, recognizing special members and members' work in the branch and years of, how long they've been a member. So those kind of things are what I'm talking about when I say, do you have a supportive board? And if you do, there you go. All right. 35 years. Okay. Yeah. So those are things that the board can support you with and help you with. So yay, Janesville. And I know others are doing the same. All right. So that's board, but let's open it up now to your members. The atmosphere, the programs, the communication, and interest groups. What kinds of things are working for your branch in some of those areas? Carol?
Well, this is what's not working. The atmosphere is not working for the younger members. We don't have enough of them that they feel at all comfortable. And so that little social time at the beginning, I mean, we sit with them, we talk with them, but there's just that disconnect between one person is 29 and the majority of us are 70.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And do you only have one younger member in your group?
We have one 29, and then we had two that were in their mid 30s, 37, okay. But none of them come regularly enough to be there at the same time.
Yeah. Oh.
Unfortunately, we lost all three of them this year.
Oh, that is the hardest part. They come and go really fast.
They remembers about 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's such an issue because am I muted? No.
No, okay. We're hearing you, Nancy.
I'm sorry. I had muted for a while because there was noise in the background. A lot of what happens is that they're working that night, or they have another commitment that night, and so our meeting night doesn't work. Well, we can't change that. It just doesn't work for everybody to change it for a few. And the other thing, and this is just it's just a fact, that age group doesn't join stuff. They're really not. I mean, you have to really work hard because I'm hearing that from other programs.
Okay. I was just going to make a suggestion, and I guess I would push back a little bit on they don't join stuff. I know in Milwaukee, and I know many of you are from much smaller communities, but there are a couple of different professional women's organizations that are very active and very expensive, and young women do join them. Just to get that network and to bump into people and share and the leadership development. So, it's got to be the right thing, I think. But I would suggest one thing is look at your interest groups. One of the things that the branch I'm involved with, which happens to be West Suburban Milwaukee, we set up a working women's interest group. And it's been a little bit, it's been a little hit or miss yet, but I think we have a new person who is taking over that role, and hopefully it's going to get recharged and become more active. So just thought, some of the interest group topics might be something that you could shore up and would be attractive. But I definitely hear you. Young people, we've had them come and go so much in our branch. It's really, and very often they take a leadership role. If you look at our branch leadership, they're there, but then they're gone. So anyway, yeah. Jane, did you have something?
Yeah. Do all of the branches publish their programs ahead of time? like ours come out in September in our directory. So those new members do have that information there, and those younger members. So if it's a program that turns their crank, obviously,
Mhm.
or interests them.
Good
So
point. Yeah.
are the other branches making those programs aware, making those younger people aware ahead of time of those programs?
We have a really good communications or publicity. They keep the Facebook going and current. And I know, and we always publish in the newspaper and community calendars for our meetings and what the topics are.
I'm curious to know, Jane, since you brought this up, do you survey? Do you know what your younger members are looking for? Do you get any feedback on what's of interest to them?
I'm a newbie, obviously,
Oh, yeah.
like 2.5 years, and this is my first year on membership. So I am learning at everything I go to. So I'm learning a lot just today. To my knowledge, I don't think they've had a survey. I do know that they're a little dismayed that the attendance at the programs isn't what we would like it to be. And you mentioned, do they allow membership some time at our programs? Yes. The membership, and this is where a lot of times those new members are introduced at the program meeting.
Okay.
So people can connect with them. But I think if you can get some really gung-ho younger members, they will reach out and network in their groups.
Right. Yeah. Yes, they will. But then you got to hook them to keep them. And that's where it's tricky. And that's kind of a retention thing, but it's still,
But I don't know that there's been any survey. There could have been, and I'm just not aware of it.
Sure. Might be something to think about. I hate to keep bringing up my branch, but that's something we've never done. And we're going to start doing that this year, post meeting. It's a little too late to say, what do you want us to program in this coming year? Because we've pretty much got our program set too, just like Jane said theirs was. But post programs, we're going to find out what people thought and what their upcoming ideas would be. We're always open to suggestions. I know in the past I've heard, and I think it was a Janesville member, that she really was pushing that the meeting should be actionable, that there should be something that results from it or to do at the meeting. Nancy's nodding her head. And that's something, that I know we're working towards, but that doesn't always happen and it's not always easy. But young people like to see results and something come from what the meeting was about, what the branch is doing.
The other thing we've tried to do is connect with, if we have a certain topic for a branch meeting, we try to connect with another organization in the area that might be interested in that and try to just send an email or something, or if we know a member or whatever, and let them know that we are having this meeting and it's open to the public. I think a lot of people have gotten the idea that AAUW meetings are only for AAUW members. And so that, and I have to admit, for a long time, that was my thought too. But now, we're trying to, just welcome anybody to come to the meeting. We don't say you have to be a member to come. And we've done that for a few years. It's just that when I first started, I thought you had to be a member to even attend, or if there was a restriction, you had to you could only attend 2 meetings before joining or something like that.
It used to be.
Great
Yeah.
point. Have you had success with that, Nancy, with opening it up? Do people come in?
We have had some, and we've had some joint, they weren't branch meetings, they were extra meetings, but we've had some joint meetings with other organizations. Just prior to the reversal of Roe versus Wade, we joined with a women's, I don't remember the title of their group, but it was a women's group. And we had a panel discussion about how this was going to affect women's health. And we had an OBGYN, and we had someone who worked with women in like a pregnancy, I don't know. There were 3 different people that were on the panel and had it open. I mean, they spoke, but then they had it open to questions, and we had over almost 100 people there.
I was going to say very timely. Wow. Yeah, that was great.
So we partnered with the library a couple months ago and had a meteorologist, a female. And so that was open to the public and went over very well. So we had a lot of men, and women there, people from the public. And then last September and this September, we're having panel discussions where you can read a book over the summer, racial justice, or, and the one last September we had at our Beaver Dam Area Community Theater, and that was packed.
Oh, nice.
So we're really looking forward to this year. This year is, I can't think of the name of it. It had to do with that, the shooting in a temple in Milwaukee.
Oh,
that book.
Oh.
So we're really excited, and again, partnering with community organizations. So we're trying.
Awesome.
But we're a very small community and it's a small organization.
Right.
And definitely older members. Definitely.
I missed what branch that is.
Beaver Dam.
Oh, yes. You do a wonderful job up there with your community, community read.
Yeah.
Carol, when you say working women group, what kind of things do they do?
They get together occasionally at like a wine bar, just to chit chat, to talk. They've had like a financial planner come to one of their meetings just to give them a little background. Those are the 2 that pop into my mind. Like I said, they've had a little uneven start. It's only been going for a year or 2. So we'll see how that develops.
So they just have a certain evening or something?
Right, yeah, they just pick an evening, and sometimes it's in an outside place, sometimes it's in someone's home, and they just go from there. As you're talking about some of this community outreach and events, I hope you're taking advantage of those to mention AAUW and membership in it. I've been at some events with other branches, and they had a huge turnout from the community and did not say a word. So take advantage of those moments, because that's ripe. Yeah. Okay. Anything else about atmosphere, or otherwise I want to ask about communication, social media. Are your websites all roaring? going to town?
Maggie has her hand up.
Maggie.
One of the things that we do on the Fort Atkinson website is we have a contact email that is actually I set it up a number of years ago. It's AAUW Fort Atkinson wi@gmail.com. I did something like that. So that's the only use for that email. And I'm the one who gets it. And often people will go to our website they'll find that email and then they'll click on it and say, where can I drop off the books for your book sale or whatever.
Oh.
But occasionally I get requests, how do I join your branch? Or when are your meetings? So it doesn't happen that often, but with a small branch, we just had a month or so ago, I had a request, how do I join Fort Atkinson? And she joined.
Nice.
So if we get one a year, that shows up on Carol's graph.
It does.
So that's just a little, if you're not doing that, it's very easy to do. Just, make sure that that email goes to one of your branch members, and somebody that's going to be around for a while. And that's, easy.
Carol?
I've had more success with reaching out to the outside is making a Facebook post public. And I've actually had 3 or 4 people that have emailed me from the Facebook or messaged me through Facebook asking about being a member, but so far none have followed through. But the public posts on our branch Facebook, page do reach a wider audience than our website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing about social media too is now it turns out young people are not using Facebook and that they're more using Instagram. And then there's the more quote unquote more professional version of Facebook, which is LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So some branches are starting to use that a little bit, but it's kind of like a moving target with social media. But
LinkedIn is,
I'm sorry, Nancy?
Yeah, LinkedIn is very popular. I've seen it. I try to stay away from it because every time I get near anything technical, it seems to stop working.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
in the Appleton area, we have a picnic and we have it coming up. Fortunately, we had budget money from last year. So we sent letters out to everyone. Cost was ridiculous because of postage.
Yeah.
So we probably won't do it again. But I know that one of the things that they stress is how do we get our members to read the newsletter? Because every month they have a wonderful, wonderful, Apple Branch newsletter, but do people take the time, pull it up and read it? Because that's where they get the meat of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about interest groups and activities too. Let's not forget that. But getting people to see the stuff. You don't want, and email. We send out a lot of email, but even people don't. So it is, communicating is a challenge for sure. Jane, when you sent yours out, did it go to all the branch members or did it go beyond the branch members? Or was it just
the newsletter?
Okay.
Goes out to all the branch members.
Okay. So you mailed it that one time, or you've been mailing?
Oh, no. Regarding the picnic?
Yes.
That went to all the branch members.
Okay. All right.
And likewise with the picnic coming up, we're encouraging people to bring new members and people that might be interested.
Right.
And that was very effective last year. I forget how many they got.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few. And so when they check in, if they're actually a guest at the picnic, they will receive a folder with all sorts of information about AAUW in it.
Okay. So you sound like you've got
and the application.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What other kinds of activities are your branches finding work for getting people interested in joining?
The old standby of book discussion. A lot join because they want to do book discussion.
I think that's probably the most popular.
Yeah. I think from what I'm hearing, book sales are very productive too. The branches that have book sales, it seems like they bring in members, people want to participate in helping at the book sale, that's great.
Which is crazy, actually.
Yeah, but we have a section, a table with our I don't know what a trifold exhibit of pictures and things, activities, what we do, and then we have brochures there, and we have, we do have recruitment information at the book sale the whole time we're there,
Right.
and we've had people inquire, and we've had given out the information, and it's up near the where we check out, so there's always somebody right there by it that can speak to it.
Nice. Awesome.
We have been doing anything in the community that we can get ourselves involved in. So we have a Downtown Janesville Association, and they have a new person, and she wanted to get more community involvement. So about 2 weeks ago, we went downtown to a concert and poured beer for 2 hours. But while we were pouring beer, we had an AAUW table next to it with our banner and our trifold up. And believe it or not, some people will at least stop and say, "What are you?"
Yeah.
They don't know.
Right.
So I figure the more they see us, the more they hear us. Somebody will join.
Absolutely. Maggie.
I know that Toma Branch, every year they recognize 1 or 2 women in the community that have contributed quite a bit in the community, and they invite them to come to a branch meeting and bring their friends and family to celebrate that honor. And I've heard that several people have joined as a result because they had never heard of AAUW, and when they get there and find out a little bit more of what we're all about, people have wanted to join. And Elena's nodding. I know I was at a River Falls meeting, and you honored some people in the community, Elaine. Were they students, or were they, I don't really remember how they were honored, but they were there with some family members. Do you ever pick up new members with what you're doing, your outreach in the community? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
no, we have a role models for equity, and recognize women in the community who. I
love that role models for equity.
Yes, and we picked up members with our role models, and then the day that you visited, we were recognizing students who had written essays about women in science. And
that's right.
And we invited their families to come to lunch with us. And we presented them with checks, which their teachers love that we pay for performance, if you will. But the kids wrote nice essays, and the parents were very proud of them. And so that was a nice little plus. But the role models for equity, we do get membership increases when we honor those women, because we particularly go outside of our organization to recognize these women.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
So that's been. And when you talk about younger women, probably the most active young woman we have in our branch is a young financial planner. And she is networking about every other year. She does a program for us, but this is her target audience, and she is a go-getter, and we all love her to death. And
Wow.
And I'm sure it has been professionally beneficial for her, but also socially beneficial for her. She's kind of everyone's pet. So as I say, she's our most regular and active member. Our problem is university people. We have them come in, they'll be with us for a couple of years and then move on to career advancements or what have you. So, but it is a source for us for new members.
Can I ask how you got into the university system?
Scholarships in Nick Whistle. We offer university. We are an affiliate, university membership. So we have members that we designate, and we have gotten very energetic and exciting young women. And not even young women, they're middle-aged women, but they have really promoted the Nick Whistle program, and that has generated interest. Plus our university, we have a partnership with, we do the city sampler every year, which is introduce the city to the university community, new students. And we do a promotion, and we have a display there, and so on getting members there, but we do highly publicize our Nick Whistle kids there. They come out, our young women come and man the table with us, and that's a terrible name, but work at the table with us, talk about their experiences at Nick Whistle, and it gets the name out there so that when applications are taken after the first of the year, or when applications are available, they remember that. So, you sow a lot of seeds to get a little harvest, but we keep.
Yeah.
Well, we had a connection there, but didn't really pan out very well.
Yeah. So, now, do you have a university in town also?
Yeah. Yes. It started out as a 2-year, and it has now. It's with Whitewater now, so it is a 4-year.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. And
we used the Nick Whistle. We did have, but I don't know. We did a special program at the university about AAUW, and we didn't really have a very good attendance, but they did tape it. Now, whether anybody watched it, I don't know.
Like 2 people that weren't us.
I think the key, and perhaps the secret sauce, was that our Nick Whistle, our scholarship chair, was also the residence life director, and she worked with RAs and student leadership, and that was a direct connection to tap on the good leadership type students, and generate some enthusiasm there. Getting them to be, we haven't quite gotten to the point where we have a university branch or affiliate, to our branch, but we keep hoping. So
keep working.
These people with families kind of, they are stretched thin. They are spread very thin. But they are also the doers, the movers and shakers. So, okay. So I'll give back the table here to
thanks,
the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Elaine. It sounds like River Falls is working hard. I'm curious, Carol, you have a big event that you work very actively on every year, the STEM activity. Has that been a good source for members at all? Is that something that ever happens? No,
the parents sign. We have a table with our display and a clipboard with sign if you want more information, and they've signed and we've contacted, and no, they don't reply, the parents. Okay. Yeah. So I think, they're interested in learning about AAUW. They're not interested in joining AAUW. And all I can think is that later maybe they will, after the kids are out of the home and it's empty nester. Right. Then they might. But,
and I tried to tap into some of the presenters, because I had attended some, and there were some presenters that lived like in Edgerton, closer by, and I sent emails, inviting them. I didn't have an actual address, but I had an email, and I sent that to them. I think I even did send some brochures to their offices, because they were the ones that were working. These were university professionals that had presented at STEM, because I had a couple of them that I really found very interesting, and I was hoping that we could encourage them to join us, but never heard.
Maggie?
I have a theory about that may explain when people find out about AAUW. They may think it's like a sorority that you have to be initiated or somebody has to ask you to join or something, because one of our wonderful and very active members was invited to join our book group when she first moved to Fort Atkinson, but she didn't join. And so after a year or two, after a book discussion, she and I were alone. I kind of lingered after the meeting, and I said, "How come you haven't joined yet?" And she said, "Nobody asked me." And I said, "Oh, okay, I'm asking you, would you like to join? We'd love to have you join us."
Yeah.
And that personal touch, that's the only thing I can think of why more people, when they find out about us, if somebody just goes up, Elaine, when I was in River Falls, I think I actually went up to your speaker and said, "I hope you think about joining AAUW." I don't know if she did or not, but
She did. And I'm tapping her to be my university liaison.
I'm sure I wasn't the only person who asked her, but that's part of, to me, being welcoming too. It's just somebody going up, smiling at you and saying, "Hey, we'd love to have you join us."
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I've contacted a woman that comes to speak for us, if she's not a member, I send them a brochure for that, after thank you for agreeing to be the speaker and giving her all the information. I send that brochure too.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea.
So I think we're getting close to a time here, but I'm just wondering if you would all share some of your interest groups that your branch has going on. I'd just be curious. So Jane, how about you? What are you got going on in Appleton, interest group wise?
Like 3 book groups, and they remain very popular. A bridge group, the Diversified Equity,
DEI.
DEI. I'm blanking here.
It's okay. We can come back to you if you think of them.
And then of course the STEM group, and then there is a group around the elections, that type of thing.
Public policy stuff. Okay. Cool. Nancy, how about your branch? What's your stuff?
We have, of course, the book discussion group, and we do have a DEI group, and we have one. It's fairly new. I mean, it has a new name. It's Out and About.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it's just it's real eclectic. It's going to plays, going for dinner, going out for lunch, whatever. It's just very spur of the moment kind of. They put together something, and just various interest things, maybe a walk, a nature walk or something that they find out about, and so they put it into in an email and invite people to come to it, from the membership.
Okay.
Is there more, Carol? I can't think of.
Out and About includes just about anything that somebody suggests that's going on in the community that somebody wants to go to, and we'll put it out and see who wants to go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just very spontaneous, more so than anything. One comment though, I just want to kind of put this in, is we have 2 or 3 people, women in the community that would be members if the university requirement was not part of that. And we have one woman who has been in our book discussion group for longer than I've been a member. And she doesn't have a degree, so therefore she can't be in AAUW. And I guess I think that's discriminatory. I find that very discriminatory. And we have another person who is very active. She's in the legislation, and she can't be because she doesn't have a degree. And she would be an excellent, wonderful, she's been speaker for us. She's done all kinds of things for us. And I think the people that are voting against that don't recognize how much talent is out there that doesn't necessarily have a university background.
Yeah, that's definitely a topic of discussion that has been ongoing. And I'm sure it will be brought up again soon from national. So, Cindy, how about your branch, Beaver Dam? What kind of interest groups do you have going?
Well, we're pretty small, but 2 very ferocious book clubs. Yeah, one in the morning and one at night. And we do have somebody that likes to do that out and about thing. She'll say, hey, we're going to do board games, or let's meet for a play together, dinner first. So that one is not, very structured. And we have a really strong DEI team. And I think anybody would be welcome to join, but the people that are on it are very, very committed. So that's really all we have. This year, because of my, learning from you more, we opened that up at our May brunch. What would people like, to do to have some different interest groups, like gardening or, so we'll see what happens. Yeah. When the members bring it forward, that's always a good way to get a new group started. Elaine, how about your community, your branch? What kinds of things are going on there for interest groups?
Well, we have a book read group, and we try to. We are in the process of transitioning our science, women in science program, and we had been very tied closely with the university. The university is transitioning to a new building, and so we are just waiting for the new sci-tech building to be built as a wonderful venue for a program. Otherwise, interest groups, basically on our programs, we try to generate interest in the community by having diverse programs that are relevant and current. And we just had our organizational meeting. We're going to referendum for a school district this year with a school forest. We're getting behind that and promoting that. And we also have a grassroots organization that has been we've been very closely supported by or with, they're bringing postcards for us to sign and send to our legislators at our first meeting about the Final Five voting, adopting Final Five voting. So we're tapping into and partnering with organizations that share some of the advocacy interests that we have.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Tuli, would you like to share any interests groups from your branch? I know you're from Milwaukee. So
well, I think the most active group that we have is the book club. There's a very active group with that. And then I think the other activity that we do the most is our scholarship. There's a lot of interest in that because we have, money to give away for that. And we give scholarships to high school kids going into college. And there's a lot of interest in that. But we're kind of in transition right now. We lost our president. Somebody else stepped in who was membership. So I just stepped into membership so she could become president. And then we lost our venue where we have our meeting. And So we've had a lot of transition, and probably our most active members passed away during COVID. So we've lost about 4 or 5 members from that, and then other health concerns. So a lot of transition. We're meeting tonight, as a matter of fact.
Okay, good.
So are
To see
we.
where we're going.
Regroup.
Yeah.
Regroup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a rough 3 years, let's say.
Yeah. Sure.
And we've done some things. We took a boat ride on the Milwaukee River on the Edelweiss, and that was fun. And we're going to have another activity, but I think we're still getting our footing.
Got it. Okay, thank you, Maggie.
Well, I was going to ask Tully, who is the president now? Is it Lynn?
Yeah, correct.
Lynn. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's, oh my goodness.
But we don't, like, she was doing programming and membership before, and she's not doing either. So the whole board is trying to work on programming, and
Right.
so there's a lot. And we also just recently hired an office person to help out with the secretarial kind of work, which we had before, and we kind of missed that. So
yeah.
All right. Okay, Jane, I saw your hand up. Any parting?
Yeah. I was blanking on different groups, so I pulled my membership directory out.
Okay.
Marjan group,
Yeah.
travel group, they're very active, social justice group, member outreach, trying to reach people who have issues, loss of a husband, just with a card. Art, they have a gal that does projects, periodically art projects. And then besides the regular book groups, they have a summer mystery group. And, just for the 3 months of summer.
All right. So let's talk about your board. Anybody have any thoughts about that? I do. I'm just curious. Does your board, is there a budget line item for membership in your branch?
There is an Appleton.
Do you have one, Linda, in Appleton?
Yeah.
Okay. You were nodding your head, Suzanne?
Yes, we have a line item in the budget for it.
Awesome. Does Beaver Dam, Bobby? Okay.
But we kind of lump recruitment in just with sort of other general things. So we spend a little money on it, but we don't have it specifically labeled for recruitment.
Okay. But the board is open to things when you would
Yes.
approach them, they would be on your side.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. You want your board to be sensitive to the fact that membership is something that they need to help with, and and they need to help sometimes financially. Also with time, hopefully that when membership needs to do something special or have some time on the program, hopefully that they are open to that as well. So that's all I wanted to say about board. So let's talk about members, atmosphere, programs, interest groups, and communication. So what kinds of things are going on in your branches related to membership? How about atmosphere?
I'll shoot in an example from our final meeting of the year. Typically, that is a potluck, purely social event. It's our main meeting. We wrap things up, and then we're on hiatus for the summer in terms of regular meetings. It was interesting to me this year that we had a mini program included. We met in a gazebo in our local park. Again, had refreshments, potluck. The program was on ranked choice voting, done by a couple of kind of community organizers. It was concisely put together. It took about 20 minutes overall. It was informative. It was engaging. They put us through a ranked choice practice, identifying the favorite beverage out of 5.
Oh.
So we are choosing and ranking iced tea, water, lemonade, red wine, and white wine. Just as a sidebar, you might guess what came out on top. It was indeed white wine. Where I'm going with this, however, is that more than typical for our last meeting, we had people inviting guests. So we had probably 8 or 9 guests, along with 20 members there. And I think it was a really nice blend of the social atmosphere, but also with a program that gave those guests a little sense of some of the things we talk about and opportunities to talk a little bit more specifically about our branch. And so as we process that, I think keeping that mix of the social event and then not a lengthy program, but something that engaged people was a good move on our part.
Yeah, for sure. So did you do the big ask? Was there any kind of formal ask done or follow up with the 8 people that were in at your meeting?
There was a low-key ask, a sharing of information about if you're interested, membership forms available. Excuse me. And then over the summer, I'm reaching out and just with handwritten notes and personal contact, connecting with the individuals who are there and specifically encouraging them to come to our opening meeting in September, which is also a bit of more than a typical meeting, a mix of social and program. We have our Nick Whistle. People come and speak at that. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So when members come to your meetings, or when anyone comes to any of your meetings, like when they walk in the door, what happens?
We try to do greetings. We don't have a designated greeter. Again, our branch is small. We have 55 members. We have on average 20 to 25 at a meeting. We could do a better job of assigning the greeting role than we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That might be something worth trying. I know West Suburban, we do have assigned greeters. And when we know there's a new person or someone is coming in that may be interested, we definitely connect with them, make sure that they don't slip through the cracks. Janesville, yes. What's going on, Carol?
We have assigned greeters. We're a small branch, so often it's just one person, but sometimes there's 2 there. We have a table in the lobby covered with a tablecloth, and we have our name tags there, and then we also have a little guest book, and anyone that a guest signs in, and I get their email address. So I was just thinking maybe we should ask for their mailing address, the handwrite something, but I guess I feel like I always want that email contact is most useful for us. So then we send them a copy of our newsletter, and then we send it, a thank you for coming. But then before the next meeting, we send another invite to come again and let them know what our next program is. But yeah, we try not to be too much of a hard sell right away, because we don't want to seem too pushy, like the typical car salesman so we scare them away. And so we just keep encouraging them to come. And in the email where I encourage them to come, I do include at the bottom, if you're no longer interested, let me know and I'll take you off the list. And I'm always surprised that very few asked to be removed.
Oh,
So
yeah.
one did in the last year, but she moved to another city.
Okay.
But otherwise, they have not asked to be removed. So I guess they still want to know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. What does Appleton do when a meeting, when you're having a meeting? How do new people enter and what happens?
Okay, we have like around 3 greeters,
Okay.
and we always have a table set up, and we have one of our big poster boards with information on it for just the whole what our branch is about.
Oh, okay.
And then we also have name tags that all of our members, when they come in, we give them name tags. Well, they have they have their name tag from each time, so we just give them to them. And anyone that's new coming in, we have a name tag for them as well. So we try if there's a prospective member coming in, they're usually coming with someone, so then we know they are welcomed, and we get their information. I get their information, and then I do the same thing. We follow up, and a lot of our members that we're getting, our new members, is basically word of mouth. It's other members that are inviting other people to come. Now we have a picnic coming up August 9th. We did the picnic last year as well, and it was for all the members and encourage them to bring a friend or friends. And last year we had a real good turnout, and I think we got quite a few people signed up that night actually to be involved in AAUW. So, and then also at the picnic we have all the interest groups represented there, so they can anyone that's coming in can get some information on that as well. So we're hoping again this year for a good turnout and good weather. So
yeah, exactly. Bobby, I know you have a smaller branch also. Do you have anything at the meetings that is kind of conducive to making people feel comfortable?
Well, because we're small enough, we had 38 members last year. So when there's someone there who's not a member, everybody knows.
Okay.
Because it's like, oh my God, we have somebody who's not a member. And so we're a pretty friendly bunch. And sometimes I worry we're a little too friendly. We come across as desperate. Yeah, we try to, we always follow up with usually just an email. We are having, this is our 3rd time we have a August kickoff to the year. It's purely social, but then also a recruiting opportunity. We just meet at a patio at our local brew pub, and we have snacks, and we have our poster board about our branch and brochures, and we buy a free beer to anybody who's not a member who shows up, and we encourage all our members to invite someone, to bring someone. So usually a lot of years we'll get 1 or 2 people from our August social. The problem is the last 2 years, the number of people that have joined have equaled the number of people who have died. So
yeah.
But yeah, so we're holding steady, but yeah.
Yep, that's a hard one. Going back to Carol's idea with keeping a running guest book list, that's something that in the West Suburban branch, we don't have a guest book, but somehow our membership person keeps track for the entire year, and anyone that came to a meeting that was not a member for the entire year is invited to our summer social. And so we give them another chance to participate, and it's a purely, well, I can't say it's purely social. It's a big time social event with lots of food and things to drink. But then we also do the dog and pony show with the interest groups and telling them about the organization. So it's a little bit of a hard sell, but it's usually pretty effective. So that's just, don't lose track of those people's names. You can certainly give them another chance. So what about your members? Is there any way you incentivize them to be on the lookout for new members? Besides bringing them or inviting them to bring someone to a social event, are there other things that your branch does?
Well, I think in Appleton, a lot of it is just our other members knowing people, or people know that they're in AAUW and they'll ask, they're just recently, one of our members' neighbors asked, and my neighbor behind me joined AAUW because she heard me talking about it and, saying I was going to go to a meeting, and she go, what meeting is that? And you just kind of get talking like that. And that's how we get a lot of our members, is through our other members just recruiting.
Absolutely. They're your allies. Yeah. Sometimes it takes an invitation. I'll get back to you, Carol. Sometimes it takes an invitation. I'll tell you a story. This was several years ago, but there was a woman who I knew, but she was really good friends with, I was co-president at the time. So she was really good friends with my co-president. And so I was talking one day and I said, well, why haven't you joined? Because she's come to some of the events. And she said, because my co-president never invited her. Like, oh. So sometimes, you do have to be real in their face and say, why haven't you joined? But so I thought that was kind of interesting, but I thought it was a lesson too. Sometimes people need that special invitation. So Carol, you just say something.
I was just going to say, it seems that we found with our members who have joined, it seems like they need to visit about 3 times before they're making a decision. So, that first time they're kind of maybe a little overwhelmed. And then if they come back again, and then they come back again, then it's time to, then the hard sell comes.
Right.
Yes. Then they seem to be ready.
Yeah. And then the application form comes out.
Yes, that's when the application form gets mailed or emailed to them, and they're given the directions for how to do this.
Yeah, for sure. So, what about those younger people, the working people? Anyone have any good ideas about bringing them into the fold? Any luck? Because I know it's not easy. I know that.
We have we have a couple younger members, but both of them their mothers are in AAUW. So, but I did invite one of the younger members to be on the membership committee so we can get some insight and, kind of pick her brain as to what she thinks will help recruit people in her age group. And I'm guessing she's probably maybe in her 30s.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Her mom is also in AAUW. So, kind of, but, I want to pick her brain for ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The mother-daughter thing does work. Not always, but it has brought in some of the younger members. The state treasurer, unfortunately, she had to resign, but Megan Preston was, her mother is a member. Is she a member in Janesville?
No, she's not a member.
Oh, she
Her
is.
Her mother is the manager of the building that we meet in.
Oh, okay.
So the mom's in women's club and she manages the building. She's the office staff.
Oh.
And 4 years ago, she said, what do you have to do to join? And we told her the requirements. And she says, because my daughter's interested.
Oh, okay.
So I'm hoping Megan stays a member, even though she's not going to be on the board.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I hope so too. Because she would be great. She is great. Yeah, I think at the Tuesday session, people were saying that, they get working women, younger members to join, but then they tend to drift away after a couple of years. So I don't know exactly. I think just the time commitments sometimes become overwhelming, but that does happen. And unfortunately, we have a few younger members. One of them happens to be my daughter. And she's been active for probably 9 years. And she's brought in a lot of younger members, her friends, and they have all disappeared. So, it's really frustrating for her. I know she's kind of frustrated with it, but she's sticking around. So that's good.
National needs to help us more, because I think a lot of it, for a lot of them, $100, and in our branch, because we have to pay women's club dues also, it's $123. And when you have 2 or 3 young children and your career is, not, you haven't made it big yet, that's a lot. That's a chunk of money that could go to the kids' activities.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially when you throw parenting into the mix, that's a whole different ballgame. Yeah. What was I going to say? Something. Oh, I know. Interest groups. That might be an area that might be helpful as far as getting younger people to stick around. That the networking and the leadership skills. I know that our branch has just in the last year or so started a working women's group, interest group. And so it's just getting started. And they've had a few sessions together, and I know they enjoyed it, but it's been a little irregular. So hopefully this year we'll get it going a little bit stronger, and they can, find their way and hopefully information that they're looking for in that kind of an interest group.
Kira, what are they doing in a working women?
Yeah, I know that they've had like a meet and greet, like at a wine bar or something. So they just kind of chatted and got things started. And then I know one of the other sessions was they were talking financial planning. They had a financial planner come and talk to them. But like I said, it's been a little iffy. So I'm hoping this year they've got a new person in charge, and she'll, come up with some new ideas and some stronger stuff.
I think a deterrent too with getting younger people, if they're coming to an AAUW meeting, and most of us are seniors.
Average age 72.
Average age,
Yeah.
I know if I were in my 30s and was asked to join a group that everybody was retired, I probably wouldn't either.
Nope. Yeah, I know. So like you said, I think it's a national thing. And I do know that probably 5-6 years ago, national they had like not an interest group, but they had like a group of young working women that they were talking to, like a round table. And that went on for a while. And then I think they recognized that it just wasn't working. So yeah, I don't know what to say beyond that. We just keep trying.
River Falls is doing some program planning, obviously, for the coming year. And our program chair is particularly interested in putting together some programs that will reach out to working women. So right now, I think one of the programs, the theme will be women in finance. So we've got a member, a younger woman who's a financial advisor. She's kind of tasked with putting them together. We plan to do a program on women in manufacturing. We've got a very active Rotary group. We've got several smaller scale manufacturing operations here in River Falls, and trying to leverage the Rotary contact and then reach out to women in those local businesses to help with program planning and development. We think that could have an appeal to younger working women in those sectors. It's an also nice opportunity to talk about advocacy that AAUW does for pay equity, for childcare support, and trying to tap into those issues for younger working women.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's going to address, if we grow our membership there, retaining those members, but it's an avenue we're going to try a little bit this year.
Nice. Sounds interesting. So that's going to be some of your upcoming programming. Well, we'll be anxious to hear back from you, Suzanne. See how that goes. I know a couple of years ago, I think it was a Janesville person, maybe I don't know if she was membership, but she talked about making programs actionable, that young people, working people, they want to have a productive meeting. So they want something to come of it. They don't really want to sit and listen to a lecture. So just, something just another little tidbit that I know we're trying to work on that, trying to make connections, that there's some action that results from it. So something to think about. Let's see, anything else that I can think of here? So what about the social media and the communication? How are you communicating? How are you getting the message out into the community? Carol?
I went to the newspaper editor when she was new and just came, because we were getting nothing in the newspaper. And we have had success with this new editor. So things have been in the paper. We have it on our Facebook page, and I think that does more good than the website. I don't think anyone goes to our website. There's a place you can email us, and the email goes to Pat Phillips, and I think in a year she got one email.
Okay.
We just aren't doing that. But I have had people, I make the Facebook page, of course, public, and I have gotten some messages through Messenger on Facebook. And often there's someone who used to be a member of AAUW, either here or someplace else, that sees it, recognizes what it is, and kind of, wants more information. And sometimes it goes nowhere. Occasionally they've come to something, and very occasionally one's joined.
Yes, yeah.
But at least they're aware of what we're doing.
Right.
They know what we're doing.
Yeah.
The other thing is we have a new community, downtown Janesville community organization, and she's having, we poured beer for a concert a couple of weeks ago. And at least we were downtown, and we had information about our book sale, and we had information about Tech Savvy. And one man came up and gave me $20 toward our book sale.
Oh.
So, at least we're out in public, so people see us.
Yeah. I guess I would push back about the website just a little bit, because we've had success with that, where people possibly came to a meeting or heard about us somehow, and then they wanted to check us out further and went to the website, and that clinched it, because they said, oh, it's current, you keep it up, and it's active. So they thought, that was a good sign that it was a healthy group of people that were really doing things. So I would give up on the website.
All I know about our website is that no one has emailed us through it.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe Pat, who is the webmaster, maybe she could tell how many visits there's been in a year.
Oh, sure.
I don't know that information.
Yeah.
I had an interesting thing a couple of days ago. I got an email from a woman who said she was searching for evening book clubs and discovered that AAUW had an evening book club, and that's how she found out. It's just doing a search for evening book clubs.
Wow.
Then she wanted more information on AAUW, and I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah. You just never know.
Just never know
what the hook's going to be. Yeah. Bobby, you're muted, just so you know.
Yeah, this I don't know if it fits in here, kind of fits in with what we were talking about before, but occasionally we've encountered an awkward situation, and I'm not exactly sure how to deal with it. But how do you deal with people? Like, we've had people come to our meetings as guests or just because they were interested. And they maybe are interested in joining, but they don't meet the requirements.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a degree. And at what point do you bring that up? Or, you know what I mean? It can make it very awkward.
Yes, I understand completely. Do they... I know that there are special situations, like if a person has gone to college but not graduated, then I think that their situation can be sent to national, and they will consider them. So, there's maybe that option. But other than that, I think it's going to come up again for a vote, and we really need to get our members on board. I know for the last vote, we really, really, really worked at it. And I was just shocked at the few number of people who voted from the branch and across the state. It was very, very minimal. So we really have to, I don't know. I mean, it's everyone I talk to, it seems, is in agreement with you, Bobby, that,
and I know our DE&I committee are constantly railing about that.
Yeah.
Because, we're talking about DE&I and yet we are not embracing it.
Yeah.
And so I get an earful from them all the time. And I just say, oh, I it's a national thing and we'll have to deal with it. But
yeah. No, I think the board is working on it. I would be surprised if the vote didn't come up again real soon. So fingers crossed, one of these years we keep inching towards that agreement, and maybe this next time we'll do it. But yeah,
maybe if get it out sooner, because I don't recall getting any email or anything about voting on something. About so maybe that's something national. When they do decide if they want people to vote, they need to really get the word out. Maybe not just one email, but maybe.
Yeah. Well, I know they worked hard at it, so it's just maybe the state needs to be a little more vigorous about it. Maybe that's where it broke down. So, because Kim Churches was really pushing, and I'm sure that's why she left the position. She was just so disappointed, So.
Perhaps, just very briefly, something you could pass on to the national folks, Carol. I have heard a couple of times about this vague option with the national that if people have had, now I'm not talking about like an AA degree, which is legit, but if people have had some college or, post high school experience, they can forward a separate application or request. This is, to me, very fuzzy. If this is like a kind of sidebar avenue to membership, then I think national ought to be upfront about that and explain what it is, or not do it at all. It sounds to me like it's this kind of vague backdoor in.
Okay.
But
I understand it's that they'd had 2 years of college, but they did not, if that 2 years of college were completed, but it did not lead to an associate degree because they were in a 4-year program, but dropped out because they were pregnant and had a baby and didn't go back, that would be the reason that they could apply.
Is that, okay, that's fine. Is that communicated clearly anywhere to any of us?
Probably not.
Membership.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that have a lot of good life experience that would be very excellent members in AAUW, but if they don't have any college or any, just graduated high school, we're losing probably a lot of good people.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a problem. And you're right, Bobby, the diversity thing, it's just, we're not walking the walk. We're just talking right now.
One of the suggestions that one of our former members, she's not rejoining because she moved out of the area, but she thought they could change, instead of University Women, change it to United Women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as soon as people ask that question, it's
United.
what it means.
Very good.
Yeah. It's hard. It is awkward. I really hesitate until I really know somebody before I go into it. So yeah, I understand. So let's talk about those interest groups, because I know they're a hook. I know book groups are a hook. We've had people join our branch because they wanted to golf with their friend, stuff like that. Any interest groups that are working for your branches?
Book discussion and DE&I.
Okay.
Yeah, our book groups, and I know that Bridge is real popular, and we have a dinner group that seems to be real popular. But yeah, the book groups definitely. In the summer, we have a mystery book group. So we read mysteries, and then we go to different restaurants and then instead of in the book group, we meet at people's houses, but in the summertime, we read mysteries, and then so that's just a separate interest.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way Stephanie was talking about that on Saturday, Stephanie and Mulaney, and the way she described it was they decided to do that summer book series, the mystery series, because they have a number of snowbirds. And
Yes.
so trying to keep them, active and not let the summer go by too far. So that was interesting. And I know some groups, I've heard this anyway, I don't know if it's branches in Wisconsin, but they've abandoned some of the winter months because they have so many snowbirds. And then they just keep their meetings like from March through October or something. So they have meetings through the summer months, which I know most of our branches aren't doing, but that was their way to try and keep their membership going. Bobby?
We have quite a few snowbirds, and so we deliberately, in the months of January and February, usually January, we do something more social, and we try to include a Zoom component. And then in February, we'll have a speaker or program, but it will also, it'll be dual, so you can access it through Zoom or not. And I think that has helped with keep our snowbirds, some of our snowbirds, because they're in touch.
Yeah, cool. I know some of our members have asked for the dual option. We just haven't figured out how to do that yet. So I'm impressed if you're doing that.
We do hybrid.
Do you?
September, October, November. And then we don't meet, well, December is a Christmas party. Then we don't meet January or February because our building is closed in January to save heating.
Okay.
And then we come back in March, and we just had our very first July summer meeting. We're 100 years old. We've never met in the summer, and we had a really nice group show up. But we do hybrid, and you can't get the discussion. That's too hard to pick up, but you can have your speaker in front of the camera and with the microphone there. And so people at home can hear and see the speaker. They can't interact with the audience. So they can't, talk one-on-one with some friend in the audience, but it does work.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to talk to you too sometime to see how you do that.
We purchased a small microphone.
Okay.
That picks up, that goes right in front of the speaker. It wasn't very expensive.
Okay. What do you plug it? Do you plug it into a phone then? Are you taking?
We have a smart television in the room that we meet in.
Okay.
So it goes through her laptop, then with the cable, HDMI cable through the TV.
Okay.
So, and it does work. So a member who's in Florida can log on. She can hear the speaker, and then if she can listen to our business meeting, but she can't really
participate. Yeah.
She can put stuff in the chat.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So it works.
We do Zoom January and February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of branches are going that way now. Now that we all know Zoom so well, it's definitely been a real bonus because we can do things like this too, across the state. So that's nice. Good.
I was just going to say, for us, we did kind of a soul searching thing a couple of years ago, and we were losing members. Obviously, it was more through them not volunteering, but we were just losing them. And so we just looked at things. It's like, what are people looking for? Kind of what you were talking about, Carol, earlier. And the people that we're trying to recruit don't have that much time, to do things. And so we wanted to make sure that what we were doing was really important and that it wasn't just a social thing, which it kind of was evolving into, where our programs were basically programs for the people who were members, but wasn't really helping the community. And a lot of the new people that we did get in did want to make a difference in their community. So that was one of the things that made a difference for us.
Nice. So have you seen any changes as a result?
Yeah, we got quite a few new, percentage wise, I think we've got 5 or 6 new people in the last couple of years. So
Wow.
that was huge for us after years of, one go, one go, one go. So yeah.
Right, stagnating. And were your members on board with the changes?
Most of them were. Some of the older ones were a little disappointed when we didn't have as much of the social interaction. But we felt that if we were going to continue to be relevant, that we had to make those decisions because there weren't people coming, and the people that were older, and it's almost to the point now where a lot of them don't show up just because it's really difficult for them to do that. So
yeah, membership definitely changes, and trying to keep current. Sounds like you're doing some really great things. Good job. Anything else that branches are doing as far as members and atmosphere? Fanny?
I thought of advertising and opening the program. Some of the speakers that I have coming are interesting for general public. So I thought that 2 or 3 of them I could advertise on Facebook as a community event. I mean, that's not targeting anyone special, but anybody and everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Fanny's talking about communicating, getting the word out. How is Watertown doing with communication, Jill? Is there
well, as far as getting the word out, we have decided to concentrate on just a few events during the years rather than a program every month.
Okay.
We just don't have the people, we don't have the time, and we didn't have the participation. So last fall, was it fall? I can't remember now. But last fall, we did do something called Wonderful Women or Outstanding Women of Watertown. So, oh, wow. And we did bring in 7 or 8 fairly young women who were born in Watertown, grew up, went to school here, maybe went away for college, but came back and started businesses or careers here in the community, one including our mayor, which really brought in a lot of visualization to AAUW, because the only thing we were doing before that was we were doing forums for elections. And so our name would come up, but I don't think most people knew what the letter stood for. So we did do that. And then we are doing a women's expo in town, which was scheduled for last March or April when we had that freak snowstorm and we had to cancel it. So that's going to be coming up in September. So we've got some decent speakers, and we've got some people in the community who have things to offer women as far as education or quality of life, that type of thing. So that's what we're doing that with our limited, and we still do scholarships and stuff, but with our limited crew, that's all we can handle right now.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds reasonable. I know some branches have, that's really interesting that you've adjusted your calendar to make it more appropriate to the people that are participating. And I know some branches, because they have many snowbirds, they've adjusted their calendar and they skip winter meetings and go through the summer. So that's another way to handle things.
We've also to deal with the issue of maybe getting a few more people, or at least different people, to come to our branch meetings. We've changed it up so that they're not all at the same time in the evening. Mm-hmm. And there's an afternoon and then a morning one. Well, not a real early morning, but so that way maybe we can attract some ladies who haven't been able to get away at our typical time in the evening for a meeting. So that has helped. And the other thing I would say, I think we've just started to do in the last couple of years, is just literally getting on the telephone and asking some people who are kind of new if they would like to participate in a particular task or a particular committee. Because if they get involved and get to know others a little better, they will hang on and possibly invite somebody else that they know who might be interested.
Have people been receptive to those kinds of phone calls or invitations?
Actually, shockingly, I find it shocking. But yeah, we've had a real good response. Very good. Like things like, would you mind helping us out with our Tech Savvy Day, and have something specific in mind, like maybe just assisting girls to get to a session or so. Nothing that they would have to prepare big time in advance, but just to get them to see what's actually happening on that day, or particular things having to do with our book sale, and making sure they get there, see it, and kind of get excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the personal invitation is really does work. So it sounds like it's working for you. And the same with inviting people to be members. I was not real recent, but in our branch there was someone who she was good friends with one of the co-presidents at the time, but she had never joined, and I kind of questioned her, like, well, why aren't you a member? And she said, well, my friend, the co-president, had never asked me. So you just can't assume anything. You really, personal touch is really important.
Yes. Actually, I will say too, one of the things that we're just lucky about in Appleton is that we have a lot of members who are also involved in other organizations, charitable settings and so forth. And they just recruit, ladies who are helping out in other areas, in town, and get them excited about it. So we've gained a lot of members that way.
Cool. Linda, did you want to ask something?
Well, I did. We have an appointed member of our board that is the mentor person, and that's the name. But if we get a new member, she helps support that member. Now, in other words, if they come to the meeting, I am there at the registration table, but this lady is there to help new members get acclimated. That's all fine for the first meeting, but this is what I find happening, and I'm not sure how to expand it. Because let's say the first meeting of the year will be big. So maybe 5 new members may come. That's an awful lot for how to keep that momentum going. You can't ask a person, are you going to come to the next meeting so we can have someone there to group and support you? That's my problem. I can get people to a meeting, but then if they don't come for 3 more meetings, then they walk in and they don't know anybody and they might feel a little uncomfortable. And as we don't intend to be cliquey, but people stay in their little groups. So I really find that to be a very big struggle with how do I get people feeling comfortable. And none of our branch members would ever intentionally not be. That's my problem. How do you keep momentum going for a new member?
Looks like Jean has her hand up.
Jean,
ideas?
Yeah, not in AAUW, but another group that I belonged to many moons ago. What they did with new members was they had I think a special table or a special place at their meetings where new members could sit together and get to know each other as a group.
Oh, that's
with
simple.
a mentor. And so they kind of buddied them up that way. And that helped.
Now, even for the first meeting
or the first couple of meetings. Yeah. So then they have somebody that's new too. So they're all going through the same thing. And they have sometimes the same questions and those types of things. So that was helpful.
Did you know? Now, I kind of like that idea. I think it would be easy to implement. Did they have like a sign, new member table or new member chairs?
No, what they did, they basically it was something that you signed up when you came. Like you signed up ahead of time to come. So they knew who was going to be new. And,
I would know.
And they did that. They did it that way. So it was more subtle and not real obvious.
Well, I can chew on that one. I think I know who comes, I know who comes. I'm at the registration table. I have a handle on who walks in.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something that you could possibly kind of group, introduce people like that or do some way like
I like
that.
it.
Yeah. The other thing that I would like to suggest, and I see this in several organizations that I'm a part of and have been a part of. I have never been to a meeting where there are lots of men, where they save spaces for all their friends, so they can sit with people they know all the time, you know? So sometimes if you can mix it up a little bit, and there are some people that I understand that, because some people are not real comfortable with new people that they don't know. It takes them a while, so you kind of have to be careful about that. But I just found that in a couple of organizations very, very interesting. So,
does anybody have any ideas on how to mix it up? Because I know, you get comfortable with your group. Julie.
One thing we've done, not every month, we have dinner meetings most months. We did something a couple of times. Once we had a different, like a miniature candy. So when people checked in, they reached into a bag and they pulled out a Tootsie Roll or a Jolly Rancher, and then that was assigned to a certain table. So that way we forced people to kind of mix it up.
Mm-hmm.
We did get some complaints from members who like to sit with the same people all the time. But we're not going to do it every single month. But we've done that 2 or 3 times, and that's been helpful.
Cool.
I was also going to mention, we have name tags for all of our employees, and we put a ribbon on new members so that if people don't know them, they at least are aware that they're new, and hopefully they'll reach out to them and be friendly and welcoming.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Deb. Well, first, Carol was sharing a sample of what they do in Janesville, their new member tag. So
there's new member on it.
Okay.
Sometimes you get those. Carol, where did you get those?
Oh, we made them. It's just a plastic, thing that you slip their name tag in, and then the ribbon, sprayed it with hairspray to get it stiff, and then you can just write on it with a ballpoint pen. And we just wrote new member and the year on it, and we'll leave them on for maybe 6-8 months.
Yeah, Carol, I used to use a colored dot, and I think people ignored the colored dot. Yeah. So a new member, it was a chore for me. And then I don't think, but it would be hard to ignore the ribbon. Thank you.
Debbie, did you want to go?
Yeah, I think sometimes the personal touch does the trick, making a phone call. If you know you've registered 5 new members, have someone, maybe membership chair or a registration chair, call the person, say a week or 2 ahead of schedule, and say, are you planning to come? I'd like to arrange to have one of our members meet you. And, just so they get to know the old members. I think sitting new members all together doesn't really get them out. They're going to feel that group of people they're cemented together. That's putting them in another group. And I think you need to get new members associating with the old members, because they're the ones that can tell them how to get through the hoops.
Yeah. There's a lot of I know I've had new members talk about just the lingo that's used at an AAUW meeting. The name whistle and the just all of the acronyms that we just throw around, and they're totally like lost.
Yeah.
So that was one thought, was how do we help them through that? I don't know. Carol, did you have something?
I'm like a co-editor of our Impact monthly newsletter. And when I read the articles that are submitted to me, I pretend like I'm a new member. And every time I come across all that stuff that they don't understand, I reword it to help them understand it. And I know the old members are going, well, we know what Nick Whistle stands for, but I put it in because if you're a new member, you don't have a clue what some of this stuff is.
Dean?
Just for Debbie's and for everybody's edification, the new people, they were only together just that one time, just to get them through. But I think the other thing we need to do is make sure all our members, make sure everybody is welcome. To me, there's nothing more awkward than you come and you ask to sit at a table and everybody says hi and then nobody says anything to you for the rest of the time. They're all busy talking to their own friends, so, we need to, make sure that everybody participates in that. But no, for the new people, it was only just one time. It was not permanent.
I know some branches use icebreaker kinds of activities at the beginning. Was it Janesville, Carol, or was it Fort Atkinson that they were, just starting off with sort of just a general interest question that people would talk to their neighbor about or something? No? Okay.
Wasn't us.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about, yes. And you know what? Vicki, is it Vicki, right?
Correct.
Oh, good.
Yes.
All right.
I was going to ask to go back to atmosphere. And one of those things you were talking about was, sharing. So what we've been doing for the last year or so is we stole something from Rotary. It's okay to steal, okay? Like this, all right? And we do happy bucks. So one, we have a little mini fundraiser for our outreach project. And two, we share something about ourselves that we can say, oh, this is something I'm really happy about, or this is something I learned. And then you put $1 or whatever you want into the container. Not everyone has to share. It's just who wants to share. But we have learned a lot about each other, and it just, it makes it a, hi, I'm here, friendly atmosphere for everyone who's attending.
Cool. That sounds like a fun idea.
So try it.
Yeah. Happy bucks. Let's talk about the younger members. Anything going on in your branches with younger members? Any tips or tricks or suggestions on? I know Jill, it sounded like Jill's branch is working hard in that area and getting out in the community and bringing in, I'm assuming some of those 5 to 6 members are working women. So, other ideas, other branches having some luck? Okay. I know that there is a mother-daughter thing. I know there are some branches who the mother has brought in the daughter and the daughter has stayed. So, there's that. You can always get your daughters involved, but that doesn't always work either. And
I just have to say, we can get them in fairly easily. It's keeping our younger members in. And this is just a chuckle, but it's not a chuckle. We had a wonderful woman who started our working women's group. Well, our wonderful woman got married. It's gone. So we still have the working women's group, but the energy behind this group, she's on to other things. And that's a lot of times what happens to our younger members. If anybody can help us solve that, we still have the working women's group. It's positive, but the leadership kind of went on to a husband. And
yeah, I think she moved too, didn't she, Linda? I think that was part of it.
So, ouch. Help us.
I think a lot of times I'm still working and I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm in a lot of different things. So when I go to something, I want people to get to the point, tell me what's needed. I don't want my time to be wasted. And I need something to be accomplished. I guess that's kind of where I'm looking for. So that's why we don't have a program every month, because people don't have time for it, and our members don't have time for it anymore either. So I think those expectations maybe in the beginning to let people know that this is what we're going to ask from you, so that they will know, do I have time for this? So that's helped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think and I've heard other branches agree that 3 years tends to be the amount of time a working woman will join, probably get the feeling for the group, and in about 3 years they suddenly disappear. So yeah.
Jill, do you have a social time at the meeting, or do you just have the meeting?
No, like I said, we don't have that many events during the year. So we're going to have this one in the fall, which will be an expo. Our groups will meet, the different committees, like the programming committee. We do have a holiday banquet, which is our big social thing. And we also have a silent auction, so we raise money for our scholarships. And then we'll have something in the spring, and this year we're going to do that Outstanding Women of Watertown again, but we're going to do a different group. So instead of people from Watertown, we'll maybe talk about young entrepreneurs or something like that. And that's a public forum, so everybody can come at our library, and it gives us more exposure. And then we do our a scholarship, and then we do it's a Women of Merit award that we give out every year. We combine those two, and again, that's a little bit more of a social thing, but it's also a good way of honoring women in the community and bringing in different people that might not have come to a meeting. And then our annual meeting of the year, which we've been having problems with people coming to that. So that's kind of,
it sounds like you don't spend your energy is put in these other activities and not in a program schedule that has a speaker come and educate the group, which is it's different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We just kind of figured that there are other organizations that can do that. There's so many opportunities these days for people to get that information. We had fallen into the groove of, there's a new winery in town. Let's go there and check it out, or let's check out the YMCA. And it's like, most people have been there or they know about it, and it's just not using the time wisely that people want to do to give back to their community.
So Jill and others too, but since you were talking about these events that sound, many of them community wide, how do you get the word out?
Oh, well, these days you got to get the word out everywhere. So, it's social media. Obviously, we still use the newspaper. We still, luckily enough, have a daily newspaper in Watertown. And word of mouth. We also we're part of the Chamber of Commerce. So we send information to their members. There's a couple different ways you can do that. We have also sent information to groups like the city, for instance, that they'll put it up on their bulletin boards. It's just as many things as we can think of. And of course, when we do social media and we have guests and whatnot, we ask them to share it on social media too, so that gets, to more and more people.
So social media, meaning Facebook, website?
Facebook, mostly. Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly Facebook.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully, all of your websites are staying current. I know that can be an attractive kind of thing. We've had in the branch that I'm busy in, we've had members who joined after they might have come to a meeting, but then they checked out the website to see how current it was. And with that, they felt, okay, this is a group that, they're doing things and it's worth looking into. So keep your websites current. It's definitely something to think about. Facebook, Facebook now, believe it or not, is mostly for people our age. And I mean retired, not you, Jill. But the younger people are using Instagram. That is more their social media source that they enjoy. So just, something to be aware of. I know some branches are using Instagram, but I think many, many of us are more tuned into Facebook.
Yeah, and we've actually found that a lot of young people here in Watertown, or younger, I shouldn't say young, but in their 30s, 40s and up are still using Facebook. So that's been pretty successful for us.
That's good. Yeah. How about interest groups? Linda mentioned a working women's group, which is a new group in the West Suburban branch. Any other interest groups that have proven to be very very interesting to your members and possibly recruiting tools? I know the book groups are really interesting. Many branches have mentioned that book groups bring in members. We have a golf group that has brought in members because they want to golf with their friend.
So is Mahjong and Out and About.
Yeah. And out. You want to talk about Out and About, Linda?
Well, it is an event. It is an opportunity for people to get out and about in the community. That's how we advertise it. And it's also a way to have continuing education. So you approach it from the point of, we need opportunities to get out and about, and we need opportunities to keep on learning. So we have one day trip. That's a big one. Our recent one that'll be upcoming in September is a bus takes us to the Payne Art exhibit, Rodin Times of Contemplation. And then there'll be lunch, and then we'll go to the EEA Museum and see women Air Force pilots of World War II. That's the big one. But then we have almost monthly someplace out and about in the community. It might be a museum. It might be a place where you usually wouldn't go, the museum, African American Museum. What was the museum called, Carol?
Black Holocaust.
Black Holocaust Museum, maybe a symphony. So they're sort of social, but they're also, their intent is educational. Mm-hmm. So that's big. And again, you have that problem of do some on weekends so working women can come. Their schedule is already so busy. Many times they don't. You do it. And I think we've got about 28 people signed up for the trip in September.
Oh.
We got tickets to see 6 last year. We had about 30 people going to that. Downtown, we carpool, we drive together so people aren't intimidated by going out at night. That keeps people perking along. Takes somebody who takes the lead in organizing these trips and a committee to put it together.
Yeah. Cheryl, I'm curious to know about North Woods and some of the things that you're doing, knowing that you have a huge distance that you're attracting people from. Do interest groups work for you, and how do you get the word around?
Our book group is pretty successful. That's a draw. We are very different because of our location. I've been sitting here thinking about a lot of the things you're talking about. First of all, we draw from a smaller population, but we draw from a wide geographic distance, from Upper Michigan to Rhinelander to Tomahawk to, a pretty wide range. The other thing that I was thinking about is we are also a retirement area. That is one of the draws of our geographic location. So even though we're interested in recruiting younger members, we have to be very sensitive to not being somewhat ageist here, because a lot of our people come here to retire, and not to offend people who have worked really hard in the organization for a lot of years, to make them feel somehow less valued as we look to recruit younger members. So we also have a probably, like any group, a core group of people who do a lot of the work, and we're working hard we have to get our website up and running. We have created a new position here at communications coordinator to do that very thing.
Yeah.
So I don't have any brilliant brainstorms. Our recent used book sale was quite successful, but again, we're drawing from a huge geographic area. In fact, the school district here is the largest geographic school district in the state from where that we draw from. So we have some challenges.
Yeah,
that way.
Yeah, that's why I was curious to hear what you had to say, because if any of this was resonating, I know you have.
Like you
said,
very much.
Challenges.
I'm paying close attention, but I also am very conscious of the unique challenges we have with our geographic
Right.
location.
Okay, cool. Very good. Well, I'm being a little sensitive to time here. Hopefully you all feel like you've had a chance to share and picked up some ideas. I'm going to just share the screen again. Okay, that's not where I thought we would be, but let's move forward here. So when, and I'm sure, hopefully, from listening this afternoon, you can answer that. Recruiting is a whole branch activity that is year-round, ongoing, never-ending, all-in activity. Everything your branch does all the time it reflects on you and the association, and whatever you're doing, hopefully you're making it attractive that people want to be part of it. But there are a couple of things just to be aware of that can disincentivize joining. So the hard sell, not something I don't think we would need to do, but something you definitely don't want to do. Tackling those new members and getting them right to work with a position, that's something that can be a real turnoff to people as well. And when the new person comes in and has a new idea, squelching that voice quickly with, whatever the reason, we've done it before, that won't work, whatever. Try to keep those new ideas, be open to them, and at least give it a chance. So those are all things you just want to try to avoid. So any other ideas, any other news? I think we're all ready to move on here. So let me share the idea that I've just kind of hit on. I've seen it done in other places, and I think it might be helpful to the members in the branches here, especially to the membership people. So developing an online Wisconsin resource sharing center. I know you're all doing great things. I've seen some wonderful things coming out of the branches, the program ideas that we heard just tonight. Application forms, I've seen some really interesting ones just recently. Recruitment plans, ideas, special ideas. We didn't even talk about that, but I know several of your branches have just a special event, usually in the summer, like a picnic, Appleton, where it's kind of designed just to recruit. So those kind of plans and promotional materials, maybe you've developed a really great trifold or postcard or bookmark, and you wouldn't mind sharing it so that people from other branches can model from that. So I'm hoping to get that started. I will be sending out more information to you going forward, so you can watch for that. Hopefully we'll get it up on the state website and be able to use it, because I think it could be a great thing to save time and energy, because as we've all noted, we're busy people.